Happy Friday, everybody. It's Trippy Cakes, and I got a top 20 PvP character list. Now, this is not in any numerical order, so it's not to say one is better than the other. It's not a, rankings or anything like that. These are just 20 characters that I think are outstanding in PvP, and that I think you might enjoy if you actually invest in them. So, for starters, we're going to talk about Nova, aka Sam Alexander. He used to be the king of Alliance Battle Extreme for Universal Hero Day, but since then, those days have long gone. So if you slap on, something PvP oriented like invincibility or something like that, it works very well with his kit, which has a lot of pierce and a lot of iframes, and he does do a lot of damage as well. So I say, out of the ultimates, he's definitely one worth investing in. Not all of them are worth it, but he is definitely worth it. So you should check him out at tier 2. Coming in next is Blue Marvel. He is another ultimate, but he is a little bit different than Nova because he is a full-on tank. He can be built for damage, but I think it's better if he's built as a tank because he can withstand a whole lot of damage. He can take out multiple enemies at once in Alliance Conquest, and he can hold his own in timeline battle if you do have him built defensively enough. So he's still a very good character. So yes, I would say he is another ultimate that I would definitely invest in as well. Coming up after that is Jean Grey. Now, I know she's fallen from grace, but she's still an angel in some of our hearts. She has a perfect kit. I mean, I literally mean it for PvP. She's got the AoE, she's got the pierce, a resurrection, healing, iframes. You name it, she has it. The only thing is, as of right now, her actual numbers that she pushes out in terms of damage aren't all that great. But in PvP, you don't have to think of it like it's a world boss or anything like that. It all depends on who you're facing. But Jean Grey is still in the top list to have in terms of PvP, and I think she's going to stay that way until she even gets better. Coming up next is Apocalypse. Although he is overlooked because, he was one of the most hated characters to use in Alliance Battle that was forced upon us, PvP is a different story. He's got the healing, he's got several iframes that are also AoE while they're at it, and he has a lot of damage as well. And nobody really runs Fire Resist intentionally, so his his second skill, that actually does a lot of damage in the end run. So he's a pretty decent character to have if you're still wondering if you should build him up or not. PvP is a good place to put him in, especially in timeline 2. Coming up next is Adam Warlock. I know he's hated due to his crystal price, and although he's not one of those native tier 2s that you pay for that you feel has a massive payoff, because you're only going to see Adam Warlock shine in Alliance Conquest as of right now. Maybe if he gets a uniform and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out, then perhaps he may be a timeline monster as well. But that resurrection as well as the time freeze immunity is a great thing to have on Adam Warlock. So I'd say if you have the spare crystals, then why not? Go ahead and get him as well. Coming up next is Dr. Doom. Although he is pricey, he does do PvP very well. His skills, they're a little bit weird when it comes to registering as hits, but when he does register as hits, he is an absolute monster. He does also have the ability to come back from the dead, so you power that one up with invincibility, and you can make magic happen. And if he just happens to use his 5th skill, then he can heal that health back up, so he can be very problematic. Up next after him is Invisible Woman. Now, Invisible Woman, I consider her more of a damage support. To be honest, she works well with others, so Alliance Conquest is going to be your main go-to when it comes to PvP with her. But she does have that charm that's going to give her the heal. She's got a good amount of iframes. She is a solid character. I think she's one of the best to have, but not the best. So I'm just going to put that out there. She's still very, very good. Coming up next, he is a combat meta in terms of PvP, Colossus. This guy's going to be the one that you want to take on Wolverine and Deadpool's. Those people that have high burst damage, high recovery, that are kind of hard to kill. They'll pretty much kill themselves on top of whatever damage you do. That does also work very well in timeline. You'll just have to kind of switch it out and not be completely autoplay when you do it. So Colossus is definitely worth getting into. Up next is Emma Frost. Now, Emma Frost, she is actually absolutely amazing since she got her uniform. I think she's got some really great skills, a lot of defensive ones, and some very good AoE ones. So she is great in timeline battle as well as Alliance Conquest. But, I think she's better in timeline, even though she can melt everybody in Conquest if she's not focused. Very, very good. Coming up next after that is Thanos. Now, Thanos right now, he's still a monster. He's always been a monster in PvP, and I think he always will be. Hopefully we can see him expand on that. I did drop a tier 3, video on what I expected from him. So I would honestly say, that he's going to remain one of the top PvPers. That's just how it is. This is Thanos. And that's until they start releasing more powerful characters than him. And I mean that in like a comic and MCU type of thing. Coming up next is Wasp. Very, very underrated. People just use her for her passive, but Wasp can be extremely dangerous on her own with a high dodge rate. She's got the invincibility, bubble that she can throw down, as well as a high dodge. She's just a survivor, and she, tears away at enemies. So she's very, very good to have. She's good in timeline as well as Alliance Conquest. I've seen some ridiculous Wasp. After that is Corvus Glaive. Now, Corvus, I gotta say, when it comes to the Black Order, he's definitely the best at what he does with that resurrection. His iframes are very long, and he summons, his little minions or whatever, and they'll do some pretty good damage while he's still, flipping all over the place. He's got a lot of really fast skills that keeps him from being targeted very easily. So pick him up too. Coming up next is Strife. Strife is definitely underrated in terms of PvP. Since he's came out, I've noticed that he's got a pretty decent sized micro buff, which is different than a micro nerf. He's able to take out multiple enemies. He's got lots of AoE. Fracture is extremely useful, especially in PvP, because you're wearing down your enemy's defenses. So that's going to make his damage a heck of a lot better. He's an outstanding character to have for PvP and PvE, I might add. But yeah, Strife is definitely a go-to. Up next is Quicksilver. Now, we've seen the rise and fall of Quicksilver countless times. He was great. Then, before his uni dropped, he wasn't that great. And now he's got his uniform, and now he's kind of back to where he was. But he is a reliable PvPer with his constant AoE, his iframes, and he can lock somebody down with his 5th skill. So that way he can just, beat the crap out of them while they're in that. And, there's characters that can get out of it, but he's still great to have. Captain Marvel. Now, she went from being one of the crappiest tunes in the game to being a PvP monster. She is easily in the top 3 in terms of PvP. But like I said, I'm not going to do any rankings. I'm just saying my opinion that she is an absolute monster. And it's good to see her, getting some use. And yeah, man, everybody and their mama probably already has her, so don't be shocked that she's on this list. Coming up next is Scarlet Witch. Now, when she first got this uniform, she got a whole lot of love, and it shows why, because she can put in work, man. She has the reflex, she has her own healing, and she has a form of crowd control as well. Man, she is an absolute great addition to PvP. Throw some invincibility on her, and you got yourself a wonderful time right there. Yeah, so pick her up as well. Now, Luna Snow, with her, it is strictly one or the other, PvP or PvE. But when she has her PvP build, she is nasty. I've only gotten my butt kicked by one, because, there's only one PvP Luna that I've ever ran across. So, but when I did, man, it showed her potential, and it got me interested in doing that myself. Coming up next, naturally, Deadpool is going to make this list, because Deadpool is Deadpool. I mean, we really don't need to touch more on that. You already know what he's got. He's got the healing, the annoyance. He's just basically become the new Jean Grey of Timeline. You're going to see him 10 out of 10 times if he is available in Timeline, and you're always going to see him in Alliance Conquest. That's just facts. Now, Mr. Fantastic, he is also a very great PvPer. The only thing is he requires tier 3 in order to shine, as well as something like a Destruction. It was weird, kind of, seeing that something so small like a Destruction really turns this guy into a monster in PvP. Just take my word for that. And of course, Wolverine tier 3 has now made this list again. Wolverine's never particularly been bad at PvP, but he is probably, I gotta give it to him, man. He's absolutely worth a 100% PvP. If you're a PvPer, then this guy is for you. Anyway, this has been Tribute Cakes. Please do like, subscribe, comment. Let me know who you think shouldn't have been on this list, and I'll catch y'all later.